Fergus Cullen wrote the book on the New Hampshire primary. Like, he literally wrote the book. It's called Granite Steps, and you can buy it on Amazon. He's also a former chair of the New Hampshire GOP. And Cullen says that to win in New Hampshire, there are certain things candidates just have to do.
Every candidate who has had success in New Hampshire, Republican or Democrat, has done a lot of grassroots traditional campaigning characterized by town hall meetings and house parties.
Case in point, Ohio Governor John Kasich, who just held his 100th town hall.
So while we look and we get frustrated with immigration and a slow economy and everything, let us count our blessings as Americans.
For the record, Kasich's total isn't a record.
The classic example is John McCain, who did 114 town hall meetings, started at 1% in the polls, and ended up winning the primary.
As Cullen tells it, the beauty of New Hampshire is that it pushes candidates to conduct politics on a human scale. The New Hampshire primary, he says, is
the last time when candidates interact with ordinary Americans and have a two-way conversation with them about issues going on in their lives. After New Hampshire, it's all about mass media coverage, big rallies, airport tarmacs.
In the past, Cullen adds, candidates who haven't played along have paid a price, like Rudy Giuliani in 2012 and George W. Bush in 2000. But this year, he claims,
pan out on these people, please. CNN and all of you live cameras, pan out.
Donald Trump is rewriting the rule book.
Large rallies, taking almost no questions from voters, shaking almost no hands with voters in New Hampshire, has yet to spend the night in New Hampshire during this whole campaign, and yet he has been able to maintain a lead in the polls and very well may win the primary.
Now for a couple caveats. First, Cullen isn't a Trump fan. He actually tried and failed to have Trump thrown off the New Hampshire ballot. And second, the ideal of the New Hampshire primary hasn't always held up.
Henry Cabot Lodge won the 1964 primary while he was ambassador to Vietnam and never even in the country. Dwight Eisenhower won the 1952 New Hampshire Republican primary while he was head of NATO in Europe and not even in the country.
That's UNH pollster Andy Smith. He wrote a book on New Hampshire, too. The First Primary, available in paperback and for Kindle. At times, Smith says Trump has done what's expected, campaigning in smaller settings and taking questions from voters. But Smith adds that while other candidates need to do that to build up support, Trump doesn't.
He was a major celebrity who got into politics rather than a politician who kind of worked their way up the ladder. Donald Trump's show, The Apprentice, was a top 10 rated show for 10 years in a row. He's known to people all across the country. His name is a brand name, for goodness sake. We've never seen somebody like this guy running at the presidential level.
We'll give the last word to Carl Zahn, a Trump volunteer who also volunteered for McCain's super grassrootsy effort in 2000. He admits that Trump's approach is different.
It doesn't make any sense at all. The guy lives in a gold-plated environment 24/7. He flies in on his own plane with Trump plastered on the side. So logically, he should not have a connection with any of us. There's like 4 people in the country he should have a connection with.
And yet, Zahn says,
you look at all the other candidates, it's kind of scripted. You always kind of feel like they're trying to sell you a car. And with Trump, I always feel and have always felt this is just who this guy is.
And ultimately, it's that authenticity that New Hampshire voters seem to crave. With Trump, it's just delivered in a very different way. Adam Riley, WGBH, Boston's local NPR.